Hi guys, welcome to my channel Geography with Narendranath. Today talk about very interesting topic in your syllabus and also UPSC and PSC SSC examination. And there are the four type of mountain and their characteristics. Must will carefully watching my channel and watching my video also. And if you are new, must will subscribe and click bell icon for notification, and must you will watching full video. There are the landform is a natural features of the earth surface. The surface of the earth varies from one place to another place, and the main landforms are mountain, plateau and plain. There are the three type of landforms, mountain, plateau and plain. And there are two process which led to formation different landforms, and this process are basically internal process and external process. There are the internal and external geomorphic process. Once again, there are the two process, internal process and external process. First of all, what is the internal process? There are the variety of topography reflects and complexity of interaction. Internal and external geomorphic process, basically varieties of topographic reflects complexity of interaction between process and structure. And according to W.M. Davis, there the landform is a function of process, time and stage. And here there are the internal process, basically internal process operate within earth and drawing energy from heat, and in the generate they are building forts and increasing relief of land surface. And next there external process, basically external process operate at base of atmosphere, and there are the surveyorial and drawing energy from source above lithosphere and atmosphere also, and better understood than the internal process, and behavior is predictable in the energy, and they are wearing down in the destructive force and dimension relief and land surface. Now there are the internal process, basically the earth beneath your feet is continuously moving the movement of earth surface and result in internal process. The internal process result in a portion of the earth surface getting elevated or getting sunk, and external process basically continuous wearing down and leveling of the earth surface is the result of external process. And next there are the very important characteristics. Mountain, basically mountain, carefully listen there. A mountain is the natural elevation of the earth surface, and a mountain may be narrow at top and broad at the base, and the elevation of mountain is considerably and more than that of surrounding area. And we know that temperature reduce with the increase in latitude, altitudes, and there the due to this very high mountain are usually over there with snow. And next there are the must will know about the mountain range. Why they're called the mountain range? When mountain are around arranged in a line, and basically when mountain are arranged in a line, and then it is called a mountain range. And some of the mountain system contain range and spread over hundred of kilometers, and there are their mountain range, the Karakoram range, Ladakh range, Jaskar range, their Himalayan range. They are arranged in line, the different in our India, and most probably there are different part of our world. And talk about the type of mountain. There are the four type of mountain there are the four type mountain: the fold mountain, block mountain, and volcanic mountain. Very important these types. And this mountain, first of all, the fold mountain. The formation of fold mountain, basically carefully listen. There are the where an area of sea and separate two plates, basically separate two plates, and sediment settle on the sea floor in a depression called the geosyncline. there are the when the sediment settle on the seafloor in depression, they are called the geosyncline. These sediments gradually become compressed into sedimentary rocks, and when the two parts move towards and each other again, the layer of sedimentary rocks on the seafloor become crumpled and folded, and eventually the sedimentary rock appears above sea level as a range of fold mountain. So where the rock are folded upward sometime, and they are called and decline, there are four type of folds, and where our rock are fold downward, there are a syncline, and separately there are the fold and fault rock are called their nappes, also. And there are the fold mountain. Basically the fold mountain form alone convergent plate boundary, and there are compressional force cause the layer of rock and block and fold, and this process is known as the folding, definitely. And fold mountain are created through a process and called the orogeny, basically, and the orogenic events and take million of years to create a fold mountain. When a tectonic plate gets pressure from two sides and it gets the folded, and some of it is portion become elevated and form the mountain, and the depression from the valley, the Himalayas, the Andes and the Alps, there are the example of fold mountain. And they're the young mountain of the world, and hence they have some of highest peak of the world also. And next there are the block mountain. Block mountain basically when large area are broken and displace the vertically, and the block mountain are formed in this case in the uplifting blockers are called the horst. On the other hand, the lower block and called the graben. Basically there the example of block mountain are the Rhine Valley and the Vosges mountain of the Europe. See now is my video. And also there are the Rift Valley and block mountain also. A Rift Valley is a valley with a steep side from along the fault line. You also example the East African Rift Valley, in this video there are the East African Rift Valley. And also there are the different position, different sometimes the situation on this context must will watching now. And there is the volcanic mountain. Basically mountain formed due to volcanic activities is called the volcanic mountain, and the example of volcanic mountain are Mount Kilimanjaro and Mount Fujiyama and Andaman and Nicobar Island, in India are the tip of the volcanic mountain and which is from the ocean floor. And there are the next Dome Mountain. Dome Mountain basically there are the Dome Mountain forms when the large globes of the magma float up from beneath the crust and the push of surface rock and creating it around their welling and swelling in the crust. Once the magma cooling, and it created the large dome of harder rocks and under the surface, and whose erosion sometime reveals basically. And this my video. And there are the four type of the mountains. This is the also Dome Mountain, and Dome Mountains and volcanic mountains, and there are the block mountains, and also this is my lecture the fold mountain. Fold mountain also there are the mountain range mainly consisting of the upliftment fold sedimentary rocks are called fold mountain basically, and they are formed due to the force of compression and arising from the androgenetic force basically, and geosyncline and antisyncline are the part of fold mountain. And the Himalaya in Asia, in the Alps in Europe, and Rockies in North America, and Andes in South America are the most prominent fold mountain of the world. And since this mountain range were formed during the most recent mountain built period, and they are also known the young fold mountain. And there are the block mountain. Block mountain are also formed by the internal and androgenetic earth movements and that cause the force tension, basically the faulting, and the downlifting or uplifting of land and between two parallel fault line result in formation there the block mountain. A block mountain is called as the host, and the rift valley formed the result of faulting is called the graben. And the example the Sierra Nevada in North America and Black Forest mountain in Germany etc. are the typical example of block mountains. And volcano mountains and the other activities, the dome mountain basically, and the mountain formed by the accumulation of volcanic material are called volcanic mountain. And there are the example Mount Mauna Loa in the Hawaii Island and Mount Popa in the Myanmar and Fujiyama in Japan etc. There are very interesting, and we have seen the effect of weathering and part of exogenous process, and weathering effect upon the earth crust constantly and to large extent the process of wearing down and depend on the shape and structure of the rocks and upon this act. And so it is some cases some portion of the elevated area escape of the forces of weathering due to the handless of the material is it the made of, and this portion the remain unweathered while it is surrounding area gets eroded constantly, and this result in the formation residual or wrecked mountain. An example there are the hills like the Nilgiri and Palkunda and Farasnath and Rajmahal mountain like the Aravalli and Vindhan are also Satpura are the some of the example of relict mountain or dome mountain of India. And there are the economic significance very important for us, and the economic significance of mountain a storehouse of the resource. There are the mountain are very storehouse of the natural resource, largely resource minerals like the petroleum, coal, limestone are the found mountain area. The mountain are also main source of the timber, lag, medical and herbs, and the generating the hydroelectricity. Hydroelectricity is the mainly generated from the water of perennial river in the mountains, and abundant source of water. The perennial river rising in the snow feeds, heavy rain feed mountain are one of the important source of water, and they help in promoting the irrigation of the provide water or many other purpose, and formation of fertile their plain. There the river get originate from the high mountain range and bring silt along the water of the lower valley, and this help in the formation of fertile plain and further the expansion of agriculture and related activities, and also the natural political frontiers. The mountain can also act the natural boundary between the two countries, and they have the prominence and role in the protecting the country and form external threats. And there are the next of effect on climate, basically very important contest the mountain importance in our society. The several as the climate divide into the between two adjoining region, the mountain cause the orogenic rainfall and diversion and blocking of cold wind. Very important factor time of monsoon in the Himalayan factor in our India, and also the tourist center. Basically the present climate and beautiful scenario of the mountain have led to their develop and the center of tourist attraction also. And there are the plateau. Basically here I talk about some very characteristics phenomena about plateau. A plateau is elevated area with a more or less level land on the top, and this has large area of the top and steep slope on this slope, and they are also called high plain and tablelands. And the plateau cover about 18% of the earth surface are plateau. And also here the classification, the plateau type of the classification on the base of their geographically location, structure of rocks, and the plateau can be classified. There are the intermountain plateau, predominant plateau, and continental plateau, and volcanic plateau, and dissected plateau. And there are the first of all inter-mountain plateau. The plateau which are bordering the mountain range and generally full mountain or the partly and the fully enclosed within the inter-mountain plateau. And the word inter-mountain means the between mountain basically. And inter-mountain plateau are highest in the world, and they have nearly horizontal rock and layer and which are raised to very high and vertical movements on the earth. And such as the example, the plateau of Tibet is an example of international and the inter-mountain plateau which is surrounded by the fault mountain, the Himalayan, Karakoram, the Kunul and the Tien Sa and this type of plateau. Next there are the Fid mountain plateau. There are the plateau which is situated at the foot of mountain basically is looked on the other side by plain and is called the predominant plateau. The word predominant means foot of mountain. Foot of mountain, there are the also plateau of denudation as the area once were high to level of mountain have now been reduced to the foot level of the mountain by various agent of erosion. And there such of example, there are Malwa plateau is an example of predominant and the predominant plateau. And next of all there are the continental plateau. Basically continental plateau, there are the form either by an extensive continental upliftment of by the spread of horizontal basic lava and sheets and completely covering the origin topography. And this kind of plateau soon and the broad elevation in contrast to the nearby lowlands sea and more steepness sites. And basically there are the continental plateau are also known the plateau of accumulation, such as the example plateau of Maharashtra is an example of the continental plateau. And also there are the volcanic plateau. Basically a volcanic plateau is produced by the volcanic activities. There are the two main types, the lava plateau and pyroclastic plateau. Basically there are the lava plateau are formed by the highly fluid and the basaltic lava during the numerous successive eruption and through the numerous vent without violent explosion. And pyroclastic volcanic plateau, you know, are the produced with massive pyroclastic flow and they are underlined by pyroclastic rocks basically. And dactic plateau basically is the bit plateau that seen severely eroded, so they are really sharp and such as area may appear in the mountains. And dactic plateau are distinguished from the organic mountain belt by the lack of folding and metamorphism, extensive faulting and the magnitude activities combination or geni basically one mountain building. And there is the economic significance also plateau I talk about in my video. And storehouse of minerals, very important, the storehouse of minerals in our earth, and most of the mountain in the world are found in the plateau region. And the extension of the mountain and the mineral in the plateau is relatively easier in the plateau from the mountain, and the major portion of the industrial raw material are often from plateau, and the major portion of industrial raw material are obtained from plateau, and we get the gold from the plateau of Western Australia, copper, diamond and gold from the plateau of Africa, and coal, iron, manganese and mica from the Chotanagpur plateau in India, you know. And generally generate there are the hydropower electricity, there is a plateau from waterfalls which provide ideal site and for the generating hydel power station in our country. And also I have a video, there are the irrigation project all over India, must be watching my channel. There are the 4 video for the dam irrigation system in our India. And also there are talk about the different power plant, the hydroelectricity. And next here, the cool temperature. The higher part of the plateau, even there are the tropical and subtropical region have a cool climate. Very interesting. And next there are the animal rearing and agriculture. Animal rearing and agriculture, basically plateau have a large grassland area and suitable for animal rearing and especially sheep, goat and cattle. And the lava plateau, when the compared to other plateau and the raise of mineral and have hence use of agriculture as a soil is very fertile. And next I talk about the plain region. Basically there are the plain are almost most important landforms found. There are earth surface. A plain is nothing but a low-lying relatively flat land surface with a very gently slope and minimum local relief, and about 55% of the earth land surface is occupied by plain region, and most of the plain have been formed by the deposition of sediments and brought down by the rivers, and beside the rivers some of the plain have also been the form the action of the winds and moving ice and tectonic activities. And also there the classification of plain region, basically how many type of plain in the base of their model of mode of formation and plain can be classified. There are the three types, and the structural plain and erosional plain and deposition plain. First, definitely there are first of all the structural plain. Carefully listen, and this plain are mainly formed by the upliftment of a part of the sea floor or continental shelf, and they are also located on the border of almost all the major continents, and the structural plain may be also the formed by the substance of area. And erosional plain, erosional plain basically penny plain also there are the erosional plain, and erosional plain are formed by the continuous long time erosion of upliftment and the surface such as the plain is hardly smooth and hence, and they are also called the penny plains also, and which mean almost the plain. And next the depositional plain. Deposition plain, basically this plain are formed by the deposition activities, the various geomorphic agenda, and when plain are formed by river deposit, and they are called a ravine, they are alluvial plain, and there are the deposition plain of the sediments in the lack of give rise to the plain and lake plain. And the valley of Kashmir is an example of the lacustrine plain, and when the plain are formed by glacial and deposition, there are the called glacial and drift plain also, and when the wind are major agenda of the deposition, and this plain are called the lowest plain definitely. And the economic benefit of plain region, and very important, such as the benefit of mountain, benefit of plateau, and also the economic significance of plain. There are the number one, the fertile soil. Basically the plain generally have deep and fertile soil, and they as they have the flat surface, they as mean of the irrigation can be easily developed, and that is why the plain is called the food basket of the world, the food basket of the world. Plain region, the fertile soil. And the growth of industry, basically growth of industry, that is of agriculture resource, especially of alluvial plant have helped in the growth of agro-based industry, and since the plain are thickly and populated plain and labor available for intensive cultivation for the supply the workforce for the industries. And expansion of means of transportation, basically the flat surface of plan favor for the building of road, airport, and laying down the railway line also. And center of civilization, very important role in our society. The plain region are center many citizenization here also, and setting up of the city and town, very important in our human resource, easy means of the transportation on land and growth of agriculture. And industry in the plain have result in the setting up and the expansion of the city and town. The most of developed trade and center and port of the world and are found in the many only on the march of 80% of the world population. live here. And also last I talk there are the mountain and the plateau and plain are also some of the important landforms on the earth, and each of these is classified into the different subtype and economically significant. And you can you can watch my channel, and must will visit in my another video, and must will share my channel, must will watching my channel. Thank you to all.